and probably that might be where he made a mistake, and he probably needed to be relying on his touch judges a little bit more, given that they would have
That's
had
what I was going to say. Would you not have stopped
angle?
the play at that point and gone and chatted to the touch judges if you were anyway unsure about that, given the situation and everything?
No, I agree.
Would you just pull it up? But to me, it didn't even look like it had actually gone through the middle of the post. It looked like it had gone to the far side of the post as well as.
It definitely would have been an association football goal to me. It went through the uprights.
But it was clearly a foot short, at least.
Yeah, maybe more. Yeah, maybe more.
I mean, it's very easy for us to judge with a video and whatever, but I think that one's beyond the margin of okay,
it's a genuine fuck up. A genuine fuck up. The referee will be absolutely gutted with himself for what he's put out.
Yeah.
It was obviously there's no like.
You think of that dodgy conversion? Was it the Bash or Magic Weekend?
The
Toronto game.
Yeah.
Magic Weekend. You think of that one. That one you can excuse as it was close enough. But this was just beyond comic.
Yeah, it was a fuck up. But North Wales should be probably proud of themselves of at least competing this long against the Hunslet side that, quite frankly, have been the form side outside of London, outside of Bradford in this division in the last month. So credit to them there for that. Okay, York 24, Newcastle 6, another decent four-figure crowd on at York. Whitehaven 28.
And apparently 300 ice lollies were given out as well.
Ah, right. Whitehaven 28, Keighley 14 in Cash Crisis Club derby, and then Oldham 14.
Do you think they played for a meat tray or something? It's like, whoever wins takes this home, and that's their food for tonight.
Oldham 14, Workington 16. So impressive away win for Leon Price's Workington against.
Especially given I think Oldham one of the better sides I've seen this year. So that's fantastic for a win for Workington up there.
So what does that mean to the standings?
Yeah, Bradford and York stay top as the top two and widen the gap to the rest. I mean, it's not a surprise, is it? Hunslet stay third on 22. Oldham are fourth and joined on 20 points by Workington. Donny and Whitehaven have 18. Keighley and Newcastle 16. North Wales on 11. London have 9. Coventry, Hemel and West Wales as they were rounding out the table.
Okay, Women's Challenge Cup it was, the quarter-final stage, and the Castleford Tigers delivered a blow to St Helens, who have been riding high this year, but it was 30 points to 16 in favour of the Cast Tigers in a competitive game there. York, who were in the Super League, beat Barrow, who aren't, 62 points to 6, so no great shocks there. Wigan were able to stage a remarkable second half comeback away at Featherstone for a second week in a row and won 44 points to 18 to progress to the semis. And high-flying Leeds beat the Army team, who put in a creditable performance nonetheless. It was 46 points to 10, the final score there. So Castleford, York, Wigan and Leeds make up your semi-finalists for the Women's Challenge Cup.
And one thing on this one, which was rather funny, was the Leeds player of the match was only 16, so she couldn't accept the bottle of champagne she was given as a prize.
Always entertaining.
Name escapes me, but it's always funny when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah, definitely. NRL round 16, it was the Dragons 20, the Eels 18, with a try assist. James Graham backed up from Denver as well in that one. It was the Warriors 15, the Sharks 18, so disappointing for the Warriors. The Roosters 8, the Storm 9, Cam Smith kicking the all-important drop goal in that one. It was the Panthers 10, the Sea Eagles 18. You wouldn't have
this week in League Derby, yeah.
You wouldn't have expected it to go that way, so I expect an explosive show.
I'm looking forward to this week's, yeah.
The Knights 16, the Bulldogs 36, the Broncos 26, the Raiders 22. Hodgson made 43 tackles in his second game from return.
He's just phenomenal, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an absolute machine, already back from his knee injury.
Brilliant, yeah.
Performing highly, even though in a losing effort. Elliot White had another try for him as well. He's really going great guns this season. West Tigers 12, Titans 30. So the Tigers continue to decline. And then finally,
now they've got Robbie back there in full full decline mode.
Classic decline mode. He'll be spitting his dummy out and getting kicked out soon as well, won't he? Rabbitohs.
Or just going and sitting on the scoreboard and taking my ball home with me, Hammer Schnitzel.
Rabbitohs 21, Cowboys 20. Sam Burgess a try assist in 173 metres. George and Tom both started this one but didn't quite tick the stat lines over there, but two of them backed up from playing in Denver. 6 points separates the top 8 of Dragons, Rabbitohs, Storm, Panthers, Warriors, Roosters, Sharks and Broncos, so very close in the top. Then there's 6 points between the top 8 and the bottom 8, and then the bottom 8 is I think split by 8 points only, but it's the Raiders, West Tigers and Titans that are closest pursuit, 6 points behind that top 6. But looking at this midway stage, kind of that table's taking a bit of a
it's a schism now, yeah.
Into the an interesting one, the French Championship final, and based on what we thought was going to happen, we would have expected something in from Alan Walker on this.
I was surprised we didn't get anything from Alan on this one.
And I'm surprised we didn't get anything, even though St Estève Catalan were unceremoniously kicked out of the final and replaced by Avignon, who actually upset
Brian
the odds.
Often keeps an eye on this sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, they upset the odds to win 34 points to 28 against the Lemieux Grizzlies, did the Avignon side. And Avignon were put into the final at the expense of Catalan after raising a complaint that St Estève Catalan had played 2 players who were ineligible, having not played enough league fixtures. So apparently you had to have played 9 of the Elite 1 league fixtures to be eligible for the final stage. But in the semi-final last week they played Lucas Albert and I think Thibault Margolais were the 2 that hadn't reached that number, and obviously would have been important players in that semi-final win for St Estève Catalan. So that meant that Avignon were able to take their place in the final and actually upset the odds, like I say, and win. So well done to them. The St Estève side did win in the youth competition final, so the future is bright for the Catalan Dragons there. Okay, that is all of the results from the last week. Well and truly covered, Tim. We've been at it again for way too long a period of time.
This was an supposedly express episode.
It's gonna be short. I'm sure I said that at some point, but it never happened. We're now going to look forward to next week with our preview and predictions. Okay, preview and predictions time now, Tim. Round 20 of Super League. It starts on Thursday night. The Sky game, 7:45 kickoff, is Huddersfield versus Hull FC. So this is the game that we competed with England, is it?
No, England's Tuesday. It's tomorrow night.
Tuesday, isn't it?
So I think it's Tuesday and then Saturday.
Good point, yeah. So
should they get through?
I might be competing with England. So Huddersfield versus Hull FC. Huddersfield have been in a good run of form until they faced Hull KR this week. Hull FC have a few inspirational players going on in that side, even though there has been some injury concerns. They seem to be back to relatively strong squad depth at the moment, with just the long-term absentees of Sneyd and Griffin, and Bowden, the real missing men there. How do you see this one going, Tim?
Yeah, I only see this really going one way. I don't think there's going to be enough cowboy in the world that's going to stop FC on this one. So I think they're going to do rather well against that.
Well, going against what I said earlier on, when we were predicting the qualifiers and the Super 8 and the top 8, I've got Huddersfield winning this one. I think they've been pretty good at home of late, and I think there is a little bit of inconsistency in this whole side at the moment, and I think you can get at them if you can get a good enough lead. I'm going to go Huddersfield to cling on to a 24 points to 20 win. I think that's what's going to happen here. Okay, Friday night Sky's game, 7:45 kickoff. Wigan versus Warrington. Big game between second and third. This ultimately could have a knock-on effect to the end of season Super 8s as well, in terms of who finished in those semi-final places, because it's that tight up there. And I'm going to go Wigan, obviously. Warrington, I'm hoping have lost a bit of momentum from a scratch performance last week, no game the week before, and that sort of thing. I hope they've lost a little bit of momentum is what I'm going to guess. And I think Wigan are looking pretty decent. Josh Woods has started to have a bit of a more impressive role, and he looks good when he plays in home games, I think more so than away games from what I've seen so far, with Liam Farrell back in action, with Joe Greenwood set to get a bit more game time as well, and that strike out wide that we've got. I'm confident. 28-18 Wigan. What do you think?
I see why doing this. I think despite the doom and gloom from inside the camp last week, I can see them cracking on and taking you out for this one.
Fair enough. Also on Friday at 8 p.m. kickoff for a local derby match at St Helens.
See, that's sensible fixture planning, putting something like that on a Friday so the travel isn't too bad.
St Helens versus Widnes is the occasion. Saints have been scratching to wins rather than flying to wins, and I think this is going to be another game where they just have more than enough to beat their opponent, but aren't necessarily absolutely brilliant. I've gone 36 points to 10, a handsome, healthy, but not glorious win for Saints.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Saints are going to do it. I think Widnes will lift themselves a little bit for the fact it's a derby game and they want to prove something, but I still think Saints have got enough quality all round to do this. I think I can see them resting Barber. I think this is one they could easily afford to not have him play.
Fair enough. Saturday, 6:30 p.m. This is an intriguing matchup because it's got Wakefield, who pretty decent at home and not playing terribly at the moment, if not playing gloriously, against arguably the form side in Super League right now, and the side that had their most emphatic win, you'd have to say as well, is the Catalan Dragons. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I think it's going to be competitive, and I can see there's a case for both winning, but I think Wakey's home form and just the positivity you get from them at the moment, I can see them being a little bit better. Travelling Catalan side being what they are, and they don't tend to have strings of results. It tends to be on and off, doesn't it, with Catalan?
Even though they have won, 5 out of 6 or something in the league, or whatever it is.
I'm thinking over a longer statistical period.
No, I understand, yeah. So you're going Wakefield.
Yeah.
I think Wakefield as well. I think they'll have the odd try in a fairly high-scoring game. On this one, I'm going to go 32 points to 28 in favour of Wakefield. I just think it's those points you touched on. I'm not going to tip against a side who've got that much try-scoring potential in their outside backs when they're at home. So that's where I'm going in this one. Okay, two Sunday fixtures this week, and one of them sees Hull Kingston Rovers host the Salford Red Devils, a repeat of the £1 million game from 2 years ago.
Oh, please don't mention it. I've just about finished the therapy.
And this is a really interesting one for me, because Salford showed a bit of grit and heart at Warrington, and Hull KR are really up and down. And I don't see them picking consistent sides either as this year's going on now. They've got a bit of a break between the two games of Friday to a Sunday is a nice long turnaround for them. I just have a weird feeling on this one, and I'm going to tip Salford to pinch it 20 points to 18.
The Little John effect.
Him being injured, yeah. I think Ed Chamberlain might come in and play fullback, and I think that could be a smart move.
Well, I've seen him play fullback a couple of times. He's been very good when he was out on dual reg last year. I mean, I'm only going to go one way with this one, of course, but I think this game could either be actually really competitive and really good to watch, and two sides are roughly the same calibre squaring off against each other, and dropping stuff and giving each other ridiculous chances, or it's going to be horrible and one that's pure pain. But it'll be an interesting one, and I think, of course, KR are going to win.
Fair enough. Sunday's other game, the final game of this week, and sees Castleford versus Leeds. Always one hotly looked forward to in Cass. And I think they'll enjoy this outcome, because I'm going to tip them for a big win. I've got 38 points to 20, my my pick here. I just, even with the losing a coach, with the no clear plan for what's going to come next.